Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a seriously fascinating and honestly highly relatable story to unpack today. It's about a 19-year-old guy named Jake. And like so many people his age, actually, scratch that. Like people of all ages right now, his entire life was basically being lived inside his phone. I want you to just picture his morning routine for a second. The very first thing he reached for when he woke up, it wasn't a glass of water, it wasn't his toothbrush, it was Instagram, then TikTok, then Snapchat, then YouTube Shorts. Sound a little familiar? 11 hours and 47 minutes. Guys, this was the shocking catalyst for Jake. One night, he checked his screen time and boom, there it was just staring right back at him. Almost 12 hours of his day. Gone. Just vanished. Jake sat there in absolute silence as the reality of that really washed over him. I mean, to put that into perspective, almost half of his actual waking life was disappearing into a glowing rectangle. He was spending all this time just scrolling, passively watching other people live their lives, while his own life was standing completely still.
Section 1. The breaking point.
So, facing that massive screen time number, Jake made a completely crazy, radical decision. He completely deleted Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube Shorts for 30 straight days. No cheating. To understand why he went to that extreme, look at the absolute depth of his digital trap. His daily priorities were completely inverted, right? Apps came before his most basic human needs. Hours were literally just evaporating into the endless scroll. He had essentially become a passenger in his own life, acting as this passive observer to everyone else's highlight reels. He knew he had to break out. But, making the decision and actually pulling it off, two very different things.
Phase 1. The withdrawal.
Now, if you think unplugging sounds peaceful, Jake's experience tells a wildly different story. He fell straight into this toxic loop. Jake would pick up his phone and unlock it, completely without thinking. He literally had this phantom thumb movement, automatically swiping to exactly where the apps used to be. It went like this. Step 1, unlock. Step 2, search for an app that's no longer there. Step 3, pure emptiness. Every few minutes, he was hit with this intense boredom and a deeply, deeply restless feeling. It was right here that he realized just how hooked he actually was. And on top of the physical restless habits, there was a real heavy social cost to all of this. At school, everyone was talking about the latest online trends, the new memes, the daily social media drama, the whole shebang. And Jake? He knew absolutely nothing about any of it. For the very first time, he felt a profound sense of social isolation. He really felt totally disconnected from the world. But slowly, as the days passed, something kind of strange began to happen. Phase 2, the uncomfortable silence. Without social media eating up almost 12 hours of his day, Jake suddenly had way, way too much time on his hands. And at first, he hated the silence. Absolutely hated it. But then he started to truly observe his old mindset. He realized just how exhausted his brain used to feel all the time. He saw how hard it had been to focus and how anxious he was, constantly comparing himself to people online who always seemed, richer, happier, more successful. He felt like he was just constantly losing at life. But as that silence settled in, that intense, crushing pressure slowly disappeared, and his mind, it finally felt calm. Phase 3, the transformation. Okay, so once the noise was gone, Jake suddenly had the space and the energy to replace all that endless scrolling with actual analog habits. Instead of scrolling in bed at night on day 1, Jake started reading. Just 10 pages a day. By week 1, he was consistently waking up earlier. By week 2, he was actually hitting the gym. And by week 3, this is crazy, he was literally learning video editing from free online tutorials. He was just stacking wins, turning all that empty consumption time into highly productive action. And the physical and mental results, they were impossible to hide. Weeks passed, and his overall presence changed so drastically that one day his friend just looked at him and asked, "Bro, why do you look different lately?" And the thing is, it wasn't about a new haircut or a new outfit. It was a profound, highly visible shift in his everyday confidence. Jake just smiled when his friend asked that, because he knew the truth. His confidence wasn't coming from people validating him with little likes or comments online anymore. Not at all. It was coming from the fact that he finally respected himself. For the first time in years, he actually felt alive. Phase 4, the reality check. So day 30 rolls around and the challenge was officially over. Jake made the confident decision to reinstall his social media apps, really just to see how it felt.
His return to the feed was, well, eye-opening, to say the least. Within minutes of opening the apps, the anxiety rushed right back into his body. Suddenly, he's being bombarded with fake lifestyles, drama, and just endless flexing. But because he had spent 30 days away from it, he had a totally new perspective. Everything on his screen suddenly looked completely meaningless. He realized the terrifying truth. Uncontrollable consumption is silently destructive.
But Jake also had a massive epiphany here. He realized that social media itself isn't inherently evil, right? The tool isn't the problem, it's how you use the tool. So he made a conscious choice to shift his identity. He completely refused to let social media control his life anymore. Instead of being a passive consumer, just scrolling all day long, he decided to become a creator. He started learning, building, and actually living.
Reclaiming your potential.
Jake's story isn't just some interesting anecdote, it is a mirror for all of us. Think about it. Most people are spending their lives watching others succeed online, completely ignoring their own potential. We tell ourselves we just lack motivation, but what if that's a lie? What if our lack of motivation is actually just our brains being wildly overstimulated, endlessly distracted, and silently addicted? So I want to leave you with a really powerful question to chew on. What could your life become if you disappeared from social media for just 30 days? Jake proved that sometimes the absolute fastest way to find yourself is to disconnect from everyone else. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take a quick look at your own screen time today. You might just be surprised.